Welcome back to Some Parts Not Included, a podcast where three lifelong amputee friends hang out and talk about all things amputee related. My name is Amanda Marie, and I'm a right leg amputee, and these are my co-hosts, the Jamies.
Hi, I'm Jamie, and I'm a right arm amputee below the elbow.
And I'm James, a left arm amputee below the elbow. Welcome.
So this week we're just gonna kind of chat. We've had some stuff kind of pop up in our everyday life that dealt with us being amputees, and so we thought we'd just discuss those things that have come up and upon our life. For me, one of them was I went to go see, let me see if I could say it right, my physiatrist. I learned something new. Basically, they're your leg doctor. I used to call them like your general doctor, but of legs. Because it's kind of what they are, right?
Not just a leg doctor, because James and I also have a physiatrist. So
Yes, yeah.
Or limb doctor.
A whole body doctor.
Well, the clinic I go to only has leg amputees, though.
Oh,
Interesting.
not
So
mine.
I did not realize that this, like, I thought we were segregated.
Same doctor.
Well, I'm learning more and more every day. So I had an appointment. This appointment, basically, what these doctors do is analyze kind of how your life is going and if there's a need to make adjustments to anything, to your prosthesis or your everyday living. I think that's kind of the general reason we go to these appointments. And I hadn't been in about 2 years because of stuff I was dealing with my mom. And now I've got all like a lot of hospital trauma I'm working through. So I finally went. And for those that don't know, I've been dealing with an ongoing issue since I had a tumor removed out of my leg called hyperhidrosis, which makes you sweat uncontrollably, whether you're warm or not, basically, which makes it so my leg just falls off, which it's clearly problematic. We don't want our limbs just sliding off of us while we're trying to get around. And so I've been working with my doctor on this for years. And I go to the appointment, and it's not my normal doctor that I've had for the last 20 years. And it
Ouch.
was, yeah, like I instantly was disappointed, and it made me realize it was like very life opening or eye opening to your
it's
future.
tough. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really tough thing to deal with, I feel, especially with something like this where we have very specific needs and very specific information surrounding our lives, basically. So I can understand how it would be surprising and also a little frustrating, for sure.
I'm surprised they didn't let you know ahead of time, or like
Well,
you didn't find out somehow
what's
beforehand.
kind of strange is when I called to book the appointment, they specifically asked, do you care which doctor? Because they clearly had brought in a new doctor. And I said, I would like my regular doctor, and I was willing to wait longer to get an appointment in to do so, because I specifically knew like this is something that's been ongoing. I would like to talk to the same person about it, because otherwise feels like you're starting all over again. And that's exactly how this appointment felt. It was longer because I had to sit and give my past history. Not only that, but other people on the team had retired as well. So it's not just your physiatrist when you go in, or at least not for me. I also go to a teaching hospital. So there's like a team of people that are in the room with you, including an occupational therapist and typically some kind of nurse of some sort. And then I usually got like some students in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm missing other people, but I never really questioned why there's just so many people in the room. Like, okay, whatever. Until some retired. And then now I have
also just have to hop in there too. Like, a lot of these centers, especially where you see physiatrists, are learning hospitals. So even more so, adding to that is that a lot of them, students upon students, like
Yeah.
learning and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, sorry
It's
to
the
interrupt.
same. It's the same where I go to. Like, well,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that personally. I think it's super neat that, and I'm totally okay with that experience. But when you're gone to see your doctor and then it's not your doctor, he was giving suggestions of things that I like. I dealt with this before when I was 16 years old. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm 37. Like, I don't want to go back 2 decades of the technology I was using. And he was kind of just adamant that I should go back to that suspension system, even though I indicated like my physio team doesn't want me to because it is causing discs in my back to slip because of the friction and the pressure. And it wasn't good for me, but it's like I've already gone through this. Like I went through 2 surgeries to get out of that leg. So for me, it felt like a waste of time. And I feel bad saying that, but I'm no further ahead. All that they suggested, like they were really, really adamant I needed to go back to that old belt style. And I refuse. You're not going to tell me what leg I'm going to put on my body and what I'm going to use to walk. And also, the part that I'm going to say is they did agree and sign prescription, because that's basically what they have to do. They sign prescriptions so that way you can go ahead and get different limbs and test different technology. So he did go ahead and approved and wrote everything that we requested and asked for, but it took like work to get there instead of just having someone who already, and like no fault to him, it just sucks to start over. And with like so many people on my team that were new on the team and only had met me either once or not at all. It was just such a wild experience of um like frustration for sure, and walking away also realizing, well, at some point we do need to change our doctors too, right? We become I
Absolutely.
admittedly have become attached to my team. And so that way, when they go away and you start seeing them all retire or whatever, go on to other things, it, I don't know, made me feel really weird.
It's 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 difficult and kind of like, dang, now I have to um trust someone all over again. I feel like it's that trust exercise, right? Where it's like, now I have to trust that, number one, they're going to read my history. That's a huge part of it, right? They're going to read my history, and then they're also going to understand me enough to suggest or prescribe the right things. I feel like that's a huge part of those teams, specifically when it comes to like amputation related.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you pointed out that they would read your history, because that's kind of how I felt. I thought the things that he was bringing up, all I could think of is there's no way that is not in my files. Right?
hmm.
Like if it's an ongoing problem, it's not one appointment that he missed. Like it's years of me going back every few months. Like normally we would only see you only really go once a year unless you have a problem. And because I have a problem, we've been going like every 3 months or, more frequently. So that was just, yeah. And like I said, or maybe I didn't say, now I can't remember, but I have trauma from even going to that hospital. It's right across from when my mom first passed and then got brought back to life and went in a coma and blah blah blah. So for me, it's like it's so difficult to already go, and you go and then you're like, oh crap, like this did not go how I wanted, and now I have to go back in 3 months, and it just feels like I digressed by 2 decades. And so that was kind of frustrating. And normally I maybe leave those appointments a lot more optimistic, I guess is a good way of putting that.
Hmm. I
Have you
think
ever had? that
Yeah, I think
experience?
yeah, I think like thinking a little bit too about physiatrists, and a lot of the time they work with patients who have also lost their limbs traumatically, right? And who have, and I don't want to like put this, kind of as we don't struggle, but who typically have patients who struggle a lot more
Yeah.
than those of us who were born without our limbs or who lost them pretty young. And so I think I try and put that into perspective. Um, I had a weird experience with my physiatrist at one point too, and it took a little bit of convincing to talk a little bit about like no, this is a real thing, this is actually happening, to get the tests done to prove that it was something that was bothering me. I had some pain in my stump, and anyway, and so I think, when it comes to that, like thinking about it that way, but I do remember when I moved from my hometown up to where I live now, I I switched my team. And that was really tough in the very beginning, but I believe that the original team that I had from when I was a child was not as proactive as the current
Mhm.
team that I have now. So I think that I was actually more thankful for the fact that not only does my physiatrist see me regularly, but books me in for like if there's absolutely no issues, nothing, for like the renew of the prescription 4 years down the road. And then if there's an issue, again, like you said, every 6 months or every year or whatever is the case for depending on what the issue you're having. So I understand like if my physiatrist and my team were to change now, that would definitely
Yeah.
be an issue to go and re-explain everything, especially because I also have a potential surgeon right now too. Again, we've talked about it a couple
Yep.
of times on the podcast that I'm avoiding a surgery, but the the build up to have that surgery done, the tests that I needed to determine that I do need that surgery have already been done with this doctor, and that discussion and that introduction with this surgeon again has already been done with this specific doctor. So I think that I might be going back to ground zero again, or kind of zero knowledge of that if my team were to change. And I do, and again, I think we've talked about this before, is that I really do fear is that my prosthetist will retire. That is
Oh.
a huge fear for me.
Me
But
too. And he's
but
going to soon.
shh.
I'm really lucky, and my prosthetist had their child become like an intern and work with them, so it was family operated. And
Mm.
now he is retired, like semi-retired, but he doesn't make my limbs anymore. His daughter does. And also, what a blessing to have a woman as a prosthetist. They are rare, and I am so grateful.
That's
But
beautiful.
I was just handed her. So
So you like
um
it?
yeah, well, and if you haven't watched previously, the reason for that is because I'm a very high up leg amputee, that
Yep.
they have to touch your private area, and you're hanging out with them. They're just in that area, and so it's a very personal close appointment for several hours, and it's just more comfortable for me that a woman is doing it. And also, I'm a big supporter of women in trades and industries where it's not really that dominant, so it's really cool. And it's even so much cooler because her husband also works there in the back, so they work as a team making my legs. It's the cutest thing in the world. So
That's amazing. I
I
love that.
now
Pretty
they're at
awesome,
that
actually.
stage where I'm gonna get them for quite a lot longer. Yeah, eventually, like they'll retire in my lifetime. One would hope for them, but yeah, it's strange when you have to think about the people that you've built such a close relationship with. And it was just eye-opening, right? And I guess I've had a lot of death and changes in my life where it was just like, ugh, not my doctor team too. Like just
Everyone's leaving me, including my
yeah, yeah.
doctors.
And then you're like, "Oh my gosh, like how weird is it?" Because they're not your friends, but you really get to know them on such a personal level. Like they were,
Mhm.
and also I was avoiding going because the other part is they're really close to my mom. And so I knew I was going into a situation where I hadn't seen them since my mom passed. The last they knew, my mom had just come out of a coma. And so they were, like I didn't know if they knew or didn't know. They did know because luckily, like I said, it was okay for them, my prosthetist to share, and she was aware. So yeah, with all that being said, uh, it's just eye opening, I guess, and weird when you become so close working with teams for so long that when they finally venture out of your life, you feel that like there's sadness there where you're like, I shouldn't, we're not really friends, and then you will never talk to them ever again. So,
Well, I
so
I know that it's tough right now, but I'm sure that this physiatrist is going to get to know you just as well,
oh,
and
to
you
be
guys are
honest
gonna
with
figure it
you,
out. But I totally understand the like, oh, you didn't even read the file yet. Like,
that was
Yeah,
yeah, like
that's no good.
that was
You think they
really
would at least get your medical history and read your
that
file?
part did bother me. And again, I don't believe he's like my new physiatrist. I think he's new on staff, and I don't know if the other one was out sick and so he was covering both appointments because it was like 3-hour delay, but I have no idea. So
that's weird.
I feel, yeah, because they specifically asked me, "Do you want this doctor or that doctor?" And I was like, "Oh, I want the one I've had for 20 years,
20
right?"
years, yeah.
So, yeah, but anyway, so that was my week in the world of being an amputee. Did you guys have
Nice.
anything come up for you?
I did for sure. It is getting warmer out, and I own my house. Actually, we're all very lucky to be those types of people. Um, and I have to cut the grass. And so when I first moved to this house, and I first split with my ex, I decided that it was really important for me to get a battery powered lawnmower. And the reasoning for that is that gas ones are so heavy
Oh,
and
They're
I
uh,
can't
finicky too.
start them.
Yeah.
So those were two issues with the gas ones. And so I was like, okay, battery powered ones, it'll be easy. I'll be able to push it easily and like I'll not have to start it because all it is just a push button. So yay. That's the reason why I got it. But I'm having like issues, and I had this last year too when I was cutting the lawn, is that the safety bar that you have to keep held down so that it doesn't go off. I'm finding that my thumb gets so tired holding down that safety bar. Just like it's just my one hand, and I do really have a small hand, like you can see compared to my face. Like it's a it's yeah. See? Yes, see? Okay, we both yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
oh yeah, yours is kind of small compared to your head. Okay.
Um but anyhow, so holding down that safety bar, I know this is going to be like the
I felt
weirdest
like
part.
I just like dissed you unintentionally.
It's fine. I don't care. I know that the only hand I have is probably one of the smallest hands that anyone's ever see. So I understand. I understand. Anyhow, I have been trying to cut the lawn. I only got half of the backyard done. And it's been super horrible, like trying to
I
get
love
half
that
of
you just did a half of it because I did the same thing a few weeks ago. I couldn't. Cutting the grass is really difficult.
it. It
you're
is.
pushing
And
a lawnmower and you're holding your thumb down, right? And you're
yes,
using your one hand to like maneuver the
yes.
longboard. What am I trying to say here? Lawnmower. So it's like extra hard, right? It takes it just strains your
Yeah.
hand
And your
so much
wrist and
faster.
your arm and your
And your arm,
elbow,
everything.
everything. Yeah. And so I eventually get so tired that I just like push my like upper body against it and start pushing it with my upper body because I'm just like, I can't, like, at least I'll keep the thing like held down with my thumb, but my upper body is just doing the
I
rest of the
Do
work.
you use a prosthetic arm
To cut the lawn?
to push it? Yeah.
No.
Hmm.
No, I feel like it wouldn't help me at all.
Really?
no.
It
Could you
your
take
arms would
your
be the
thing
same
and just
length
be
at
like,
least.
The other thing, guys, is that it's really hot outside.
It's only gonna get hotter
It is.
too, which is
I
gonna be
know.
brutal.
I know. My air conditioning is on full blast. So that's the other thing now.
I haven't turned mine on yet.
What?
I haven't turned mine on yet.
You're bonkers.
A little bit. Trying to save money
I
too.
That's the other thing, is that as an arm amputee, because I get hot so quickly and so easily, my air conditioning is turned on so quickly. And it's been on for a while, and it is nice and
Really?
freezing in here. Yes.
Yeah, same. I also have two hot doggies. One's a German Shepherd Husky, and the other one's a Husky Lab, and and maybe part Chow. So all of her breeds are lots of fur, and they don't want to be in the heat, or like they can't take it, right? So
No.
I'll have the air on and I'll have a fan on them sometimes. So I'm with you, but and you know what? I actually struggle with cutting the grass as well. But kind of for like a different reason. And funny you say that, because I have a blister from I just cut the grass last night because it was just getting way too tall for my dog who has arthritis, and her stumpy little legs could not walk through it. And my dad is typically the one who comes over and helps me with it, and doesn't want me to cut the grass, okay? Like, he is so particular about it. I had to not lie, but I had to not tell him what I was doing. So I ignored his text until I was done the tasks. And then because he always text me about hockey and everything. So I just pretended like I was busy doing something else, and then finally said like, "Oh, I just finished cutting the grass," cuz the last time I wrote him and said that I was doing it, he drove over to my house, wouldn't let me finish, and took over the job. So I was like, okay, I can't even tell him what I'm doing for all this time. I'm just ignoring him. But anyways, and my reasoning is because I actually have an electric one, and that damn cord with an artificial leg is just
Oh.
so annoying, and you're constantly having to navigate it, and not you don't want to
Mhm.
trip over it, right? And so it
Oh, you got an
easy.
electric mower.
It's
Yeah.
nice because it's light, but then it sucks because you're attached to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to all of the above.
It's like a vacuum. It's like an outdoor vacuum.
Funny that you say that.
A
'Cause
grass vacuum.
as I was doing it yesterday, I was pushing it like it was a vacuum cleaner because I was so tired that I was like, I'm too tired to walk, so I'm just gonna kind of like push it back and forth and then move to a different section, because it is physically super exhausting as a leg amputee, and my backyard's full of just potholes from bunnies and
Dogs. Have you seen
Yeah.
dogs?
well, my dogs don't dig, but the bunnies do. And so you're just walking, and all of a sudden you're like break an ankle, and you don't
That's
even
my issue
realize.
too. I have major slugs in my backyard, and
Yeah.
all of the animals dig holes back
It
there.
just makes it very difficult as a leg amputee when you're walking around and you're not like, I don't know, pushing a gigantic
So
heavy.
you're avoiding a cord and pothole, and holes, and trying to cut your grass all at the same time.
And I'm sweating, so my limb is falling off.
Your
And
limb is like
so
barely attached.
yeah,
So
it's
it's gonna go.
realistically at some point I'm just probably going to have to hire somebody to take over this task. It's just me and my dad are both too stubborn. So we're both just stealing. But he was doing a lot of yard work and things at his house for the season. And so naturally, I did not want to ask him for help this week. I felt awful. And so I pushed myself. And like I said, my dog has arthritis. And so literally, if the grass gets too tall, it's like up to her belly. And it's just too much for her to walk through. So,
Oh yeah, that was
yeah.
like my lawn this week.
And it rained. It was like
It
raining
just
every other
shot
day.
up all of a sudden. It's like, oh crap! All of a sudden, it was just nice weather, and there's like a foot of grass, and I'm like, God, I better go cut that.
Mhm.
The first time of the year. So I got out this week to cut my lawn, and I have a battery operated one as well. What do you got, Jamie? The Ryobi one or whatever?
Yes.
Yes, so do I. And I was gonna say the same batteries go in my vacuum since we were talking about vacuums. Oh wait, no, they don't. But it's a Ryobi too. My vacuum is a battery operated vacuum, so I don't have to worry about cords in the house either. But no, when I cut the lawn though, I use my I have a like a clamp, the clamp hand.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, true.
So it tightens and it holds that bar down. So I never have to hold the bar because I was having the same problem.
It's my thumb, like the thumb muscle.
You can, I was going to say for you, like, there's like, go to Canadian Tire, you get those spring held clamp things.
Right,
And you
but
can
do I
just use a
really want to
clamp on the
be?
bar.
Yeah, but do I really want to be unsafe? That's the question.
Yeah, then you're a little
Yes,
bit, you just got
that
to
is
be
the
careful
answer.
you don't slip and fall under it.
This is my point.
Or there's
because
no children around.
this is my point because we all know that like that's probably going to happen to me. Probably. So I'm just
And this is how Jamie becomes a leg amputee.
yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden I will lose two limbs more somehow. Anyway, which
Just
was
make sure if you
reference to
lose
another
two, make sure
podcast.
if you lose more limbs, it's two at the same time.
As an amputee, I have to ask, when you're handling things as an amputee that have blades on them that are very sharp, does your intrusive thoughts often tell you, like, oh, this is how you're going to lose another limb? Or
Yes. I actually
James? No.
yes. I also think this when other people are doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is how you're going to become me. Like
Yeah.
this is like we are going to be the same. And I say it to people a lot, too much probably, because it probably feels like a threat. But I say to people like, oh yeah, then you can understand where I'm coming from or something like that. And they're just like, no, stop that. Don't say that.
That's actually when I started this thing in the last, I don't know, maybe 5, 10 years of my life, where every time people say something or do something like that, I always will respond with, careful, that's how I lost my leg. And it's humorous, obviously, but that's my intrusive thoughts that like kick in, and I like can see it happening. And then so I'm like, "Ugh."
I'm
But
gonna
actually though, be
I'm gonna
careful.
steal that joke. That's a good one, man. The
Yeah.
next time I see someone doing something dangerous,
Not even
like
dangerous. It could be anything. Like, let your imagination go wild on this one, because it could be something really silly or stupid that
yeah,
they're talking about. And of course, as I'm trying to explain, I can't think of an example, but just absolutely anything that someone's doing or talking about, try to make the opportunity in your mind say, careful, that's how I lost my limb. And it will, like, I love it. It just brings joy to my
I
heart.
have a couple normie friends who are very clumsy people, so I really should use that more often.
you should.
Anyway,
It makes
I wanted
people laugh, typically.
absolutely.
Or it open like it I don't know, it lightens whatever's happening in the conversation. It's just, I don't know, it's a good little liner. Please steal it, use it, report back to me. I want feedback. I want
Um,
stories for examples.
I want to. I feel like it would be a very good. I have a friend who actually says that they're not good at cooking and then often cuts themselves accidentally when cooking. So that will be a pretty good one, I think, to
That's
use.
a prime opportunity right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
how I
I
feel.
also wanted to mention too that on top of the comment about cutting the lawn, is that I also had very intelligently scheduled a a massage therapy appointment for this week as well, because I'm a smart cookie. And I cannot tell you how important it is as an amputee to
Mm,
find a registered massage therapist who understands how your body functions as an amputee and can truly work on those really trouble areas to help it feel like you're not always in pain. And so I would recommend, and anyone, like, ask around to an RMT who feels like they know what they're doing or feels like they can tackle something like that. It is amazing to find someone like that, so that you don't have to kind of
I
feel that
agree.
pain. it
Yeah.
what's really amazing, I think, about my RMT is that she will focus on, like, my hand and my wrist, and specifically this muscle here, which gets so tired, which is not really like many many people don't have that muscle get as tired as mine does. And so that's really, really great. And then again, with my shoulders and stuff, like, she can feel the difference and knows how to treat that difference. So it's pretty awesome. I love it.
I
Recommend.
agree.
How often do you go?
I go roughly every 2 months or so, depending on how much pain I'm in. I go more often if it's worse. It really all depends. At, like, my worst pain, I was going every, like, 3 weeks, two
I
weeks,
feel
three
like every
weeks.
time I go, it's always someone new and random.
Oh,
Never
no.
having the same.
Do
Like I go to the same
No,
place,
don't
but
do
it's like
that.
a different person.
No, get a new place. So I like hands down, I have gone to so many different physiotherapists, and I've learned now if so
You're
currently
talking about
because
massage therapists, though.
I know, but it's
but
like the same
yeah, so
same industry.
what I was gonna add in is so after my car accident, I actually go weekly to three different people. And at first, it was four. I used to see an occupational therapist every week until they, long story short, until they cleared me from my concussion and my head injuries. And then I saw a physiotherapist, a kinesiologist, and a massage therapist every week. So I still go until my coverage runs out because I also have a pre existing health condition as an amputee. So I've just continued to go every week because I find it really beneficial. So until I go as often as my benefits cover, is basically how that works for me. And I would recommend other people. I know it's a lot to go, to two or three appointments every week, but it my body hurts so much all the time that there's always something that I can be focusing or working on, especially after the nerve damage from the car accident. Um,
Hmm.
that is obviously why I'm going, but it correlates, right? Like you can't have one disability not interfere with the other. And at first, when I started going, I hadn't gone to physio in years. It had been a very, very long time. And so I went to the closest one that my insurance saw when they looked it up and told me to go, and I did. And I hated that place. To tell the story quick, I got in a car accident in October, started going to this place. Then I got in another car accident in December. And when I got into that second car accident, they didn't really reassess me properly. And he would do things that made me really, really uncomfortable. Like he'd be yelling across the room there's other clients, and he'd be like, "You're not bending lower and getting deep enough into that hip, like bend deeper." And I don't even have a hip joint. So he's yelling at me to do something that I've never been able to do in my entire life and will never be able to do. And so that was really off putting. And then afterwards, at the end of the appointment, now he's been seeing me since October, it's December. He has the audacity to say, "Is it okay if I ask you how you lost your limb?"
Hmm.
3 months into treating me, that's the audacity. Like, I was so upset that I thought about, like, how could you have not asked me that question sooner? And I didn't feel like he understood me at all, and it was not a great experience. So I did decide to go to a different place, and I tried another place, and I went through many different people even at that place, and finally I found people I really liked, and when they left, I kind of followed them to the other
Mhm.
clinics that they went to. So I'm basically found a team that knows my body, knows how to work on it really well, and then I just have followed them, and I plan on following them until now they retire probably. So
And it's the same with my RMT too. Like I met her at a different clinic and now she's at her
yeah.
private home clinic and I followed her to her private clinic even though she was like, "No, there's like you don't need to do this." And I was like, "No, no,
Yeah,
you
yes, I do actually. Yeah. I mean, it's I and to go back to what you said, James, I would highly recommend it and just try a new place. Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, as
I
long
haven't
as
even been in a while, so I'm.
I
It's not
I
even that I go to the same place all the time. I sometimes switch places. I just don't have one specific, you know, um, therapist that takes care that gives me the massage and tracks my progress or like just status and what
yep,
you know
yep.
what needs to
yep.
be worked on and
It's
whatnot. I kind of started doing it with one person, but I found like I don't know, um they were just they spent like just too long talking. Like stop the get the talking and get to the massaging. They spent literally half the half the hour was just talking to them and I'm like
Was it your
I
first
get
appointment?
they were trying to get to know my body and like what needed to be done and maybe they thought I was going to come back but I just wasn't
Question, was it your first appointment
um
with them?
with that particular person, yes.
That's why. So
I
every
know, but it
time
annoyed me. I don't know.
well, that's gonna keep happening because every time you go to a new person, they have to reassess you.
Mhm, I
And
get
even
that. I
if
get that.
And even if you didn't go to that person for a long time or they switch clinics, they actually have to go through a reassessment on you.
I know they do, but it was just
I know it's silly and it sucks.
it wasn't just about that. It was like
Okay.
I don't know, it was the kind of person that like just talks and talks and I don't know how to explain it. Like they
No,
just
I
it wasn't
do.
I
always
get
it
it.
wasn't just about my body. It was like it was everything. You just kept talking. I'm like, dude, I really don't want to talk that much.
I hurt. Like do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of what it was. Like I understand like when you're asking me questions and stuff, but then it kind of went beyond that. It was just the type of person that
Yeah.
wanted to continue talking. And plus during they were like asking me all these questions like about my life and what I do and if I have kids and I'm just like, dude, I don't want to talk right now. I'm sorry, I don't want to give you my life story right now. So
So
that
I
was the
have
reason I left that massage therapist. Plus I'm like I don't know. He was a nice guy. He was
no,
just
they're
he was too
usually
nice.
very
He was
nice.
just too nice.
Yeah, yeah. They're usually very nice. The problem is just sometimes it has nothing to do with that. That's what
He
kind of
was
what we're
so
talking about.
talkative. And maybe that day I just and I'm a pretty talkative person, but that day I was just like
It's
not in
different
the
when you're
mood
naked
to
on a table and somebody's hands are all over you.
yeah, yeah, kind of.
There's a different form of trust that's
I don't
happening.
know. I'm a little like George Costanza too, where I don't particularly love having a male like massage therapist doing that to me. I don't know.
I don't
It's
want a
not that
male
I'm
massage therapist
I
either.
shouldn't say that because I had one that was actually when I hurt myself in hockey, I got this one dude who I thought was a girl when before I went because of his name, but it was like Sasha, and that's a guy's name too, right? So my life is a Seinfeld episode. I swear to God. But yeah, so I went to this, but he was so strong, and I'm like, oh man, he was so much. He like just was like so much stronger than the last massage that I got from a woman. And not to say that the women can't be strong too. That came out really bad. But you know what I mean.
James
He
is
was
trying to
just
get us canceled.
more pressure. I am trying to get canceled. That's it. I'm sick of doing this podcast. I'm gonna say some misogynistic shit and then get kicked off.
Um
Oh
I
man.
uh I did think that that Amanda, when you said that you had physio that you didn't like and you had to leave, and I found that as well with some physio. Like I found some physiotherapists to be really great with me, but I had physio a number of times, And there are just a lot of physiotherapists that just don't jive. And I'm sure that's the same with RMTs. I'm sure that's the same with massage
Oh,
therapists.
Yeah,
I've
definitely
also
is.
had the same thing with massage therapists. Not to say they weren't great people or they weren't doing a good job, just it didn't align to everything in my life. Like there's multiple things. If you feel like you're putting yourself out of your life in some way and it's just not working or it's a pain in the butt, like these things
Mhm.
are supposed to help us, not
Well,
get in the way and create more boundaries in our
Yeah.
life, right? So,
for me too, it's like if it doesn't hurt enough, then we're not doing enough. Especially with
yes.
massage therapy, like
Yes.
if I don't have to take a breath
Yeah.
because I'm in pain, then we're not doing
Ooh,
anything.
I love when they like leave a bruise and not because they left a bruise, because that's
They
Wow,
did
I've never had
something.
that.
oh,
It's
well, they're not supposed to, but that's what I'm saying. Like when they go, it's happened to me once or twice, and even my massage therapist was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and I was like, "No, it felt so good. I don't even care about the bruise because I'm with you, Jamie. I need a deep I
Yeah,
need
me too.
deep. And my massage therapist can make me squeal. She is so strong and not like that. Like you can't you know what's so painful that you can kind like I have a high pain tolerance, so usually my face does not like move or
Mhm.
show anything. But there are times she hits a spot so good that I literally am like, okay, that is where I was feeling it.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and it's
So,
funny because it's usually general localized like it's like a pain in a certain area, but it's like they find the exact spot to
yeah.
push where it pulls all of where the pain is coming from to stretch that out, and that again is incredible. So
I also was going to add that my physiotherapy has looked different throughout the years. So there are people who I've gone to that basically I walk in and I feel like I'm at like a circuit at a gym. They're like, here's your 6 exercises, go around the room and do them. And they watch you and kind of correct your posture, kind of, but they've got like 5 other people they're working with at the same time. And then I've had, which is what I do now, they basically work on soft tissue and nerve flossing. They still give me exercises and I will work with them maybe momentarily, like showing them, and so they can correct me on the spot. But those exercises are for me to go home and do on my own time. They're not me just I always think it's such a waste of time when I'm sitting in there, be like, why am I stretching in here? I could look this up on YouTube and stretch at
Yeah,
home.
you do
I'm
that?
like,
That's
that is
crazy.
so dumb. Like,
I
I'm
thought they're supposed
paying
to
you
work on
so
your
much money,
release.
work on my body. And so
Yeah,
that's yeah.
this is why I
that's crazy.
actually stopped going to physio, because for
Yeah.
me, I found um number one that just like I just wasn't getting enough one-on-one time. And number two,
Yeah.
I had acupuncture. They tried to do acupuncture with me for a bit, and then left me, even though my appointment was only supposed to be an hour, left me for
Yeah.
45 minutes, and I got so nauseous, and the acupuncture was on my
Oh,
back. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? All I can do
yeah.
is just lay there and wait. But it's like we didn't know I would get nauseous from acupuncture, but
Now you do. Yeah.
now we do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is partially why I would prefer and I find more results with massage therapy rather than
No, I'm with you. And the only
yeah.
reason I started doing all the other stuff is and kept with it is because I found a really good kinesiologist and physiotherapist that know how to help the way I need help. And so basically they're stretching me in ways I can't physically do to myself, nor should just one of my friends do to me because they don't understand the mechanics of how my body functions. And so therefore, they are using their expertise to understand how my body was made differently and how so they're getting right in there. I say every time, like, you don't need to go to the gym because my body was your workout. Like, some of the stuff they're doing, I'm like, how are you not physically exhausted by the time you're done with me, let alone a whole damn day? But yeah, they're
Yeah.
getting stretches in ways I could never. They provide me tools to go home with. And that's really what I think personally, for me anyways, the best experience that I've had. But it took a lot of people, it took a long time, a lot of switching, a lot of restarting, and a lot of reassessments. So that part all sucks. But now that I have found them, I'm holding on to them for dear life until they all retire, and then I get sad because that's the cycle of how I work. So
Love it. But yeah, that's been like my week, I guess, week and a half. I know that was very long-winded, but
that's good. James, how was your week?
Oh, it was fantastic. Great week.
nothing to report,
Very,
I'm
very
guessing.
lovely. I don't have any. I don't. Have, you know, I got nothing to complain about. Well, except for that one thing. But like, other than that, my week's been great. Like,
Complain
you
about it,
guys are
James.
having all these issues, and I pinched my nub in a door, and that's it. That's like, that's all I have back to report.
How? What kind of door? Explain this happen. What happened?
Well, the funny thing is that I did it, and then my daughter did the exact same thing with her
Oh,
nubby.
that's hilarious.
So I was like, this door needs to go. I need to get a new closet door. But it's like one of those like closet doors that just open like this, and then it's like it folds and then shuts. It folds and then shuts.
Bifolds.
But if you
Yeah.
push it in the center with your nub,
Oh,
and the two doors come closed together, and so
knew
I
it.
caught my
knew
nub
that's
in
how you
that.
did
But
it.
it's the front door closet, and when you grab a jacket out of it, like anyone with like has if you've got something in your sound limb and you have one arm and you have a nub, you're gonna just shove it closed, right? And so for the first time, I mean, I've been closing this door for like what? I've been in this place like 2 years. I've never done this, but I closed it, and then the two doors came together and like closed and pinched my nub so bad that I had like a blood blister, you know, whatever. It was
oh,
brutal. Yeah, that's how bad it was. And of course, I was like trying not to curse and stuff because Ava was there, and she always says the most hilarious things, which makes you even more like you're so pissed off, but she says something hilarious, so you're like trying to laugh, like you hurt yourself, like oh you got a boo boo here, let me fix it, and like stuff like that, and I'm like no, it really fucking hurts. And then it wasn't like a day or two later that she was at the front door and she closed it and did the exact same thing. And I'm like, oh my God, it felt so much more
Did you say, "Oh, you got a
brutal.
boo boo"?
Yes, I did. Oh, you got a boo boo, do you? Do you want me to fix it?
I'm just
No,
kidding.
I
I'm
felt super
sorry,
bad
Ava,
because I'm
when
like,
you watch
did
this.
you?
what I really thought, honestly, was like, that damn closet door got me and now it got you. Like, oh my God, that's
Just
I
burn
don't
it.
know exactly how you feel, girl. Like, damn, I hate that door.
I actually have an add-on to your door story. I have counseling, which I go to roughly every week or 2 weeks or whatever, depending on where my appointments are. And on the outside of the counseling door, there's a doorbell, and like it's on the actual door, and it's one of those like electronic doorbells. Anyway,
Okay.
because of the way that my arm hits the door when I open it from the inside, so when I'm done my appointment and going out, the way that my arm catches the door or hits the door before it closes, because I don't want it to slam, it's a counseling appointment, my arm hits the doorbell every time. So as I'm exiting,
As you walk in, you're like ding dong.
no,
You're like
as I'm leaving, I'm like ding dong.
As your therapist, that would be my favorite thing about your appointment. Like every time, like I know that she's leaving, she's exited the building. Wow. That's so.
Anyway, I think it's so funny that that's just where my arm hits. Because most people would be able to like catch the door higher because their arm hits higher, their hand hits higher. But for me,
Yeah.
my arm hits much lower, and so it's like ding dong.
Has she ever brought it up to you? Have they ever brought it up to you?
The person at the front desk like has looked at me many times as the door's closing.
She's waiting for it.
That awkward eye that just catches.
They're waiting for you. Oh my
Yeah,
god, I
that's like the
love
type of stuff you think about when you lay down. And you're like, oh man, at night you're trying to sleep.
that.
I can't believe I hit that doorbell today. Oh my god.
I think
And then you
it's like
think
the
about you look
funniest
at
thing.
you have the vision of the receptionist giving you like a weird look. They must understand, or maybe they don't. Maybe they think
I
you.
have no idea if they understand why I hit the doorbell on my way out every time.
Oh my
I
god.
yeah, nub problems. Like
But as you were telling those stories, I was like, about pinching. Ooh, I feel like I could feel it in my stump. I'm dying. I need a drink.
Jesus, we like.
I feel that pain in my stump. And actually, I did something the other day, not off a door. I went to go put on my artificial leg, but I'll be honest with you, I wasn't wearing my liner that you're supposed to wear.
I've
I
seen you
just,
do this.
yeah, I just quickly toss on like the bare bones of it. And I went to go do that really quickly, and I hit the back of my stump. Like I just bumped it against the socket of my leg, and it felt. And I guess the best way to describe this is that area is actually the back of my ankle, technically. So it's like the Achilles tendon. And so hitting that nerve sent me. Like I was collapsed on the ground for like at least 5 minutes. I could not move, and it made the nerve like
I'm
tighten
laughing because it's I
so
can
bad.
understand.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever done this. Like I've hit it before, but not like that, and not off my artificial leg trying to put it on. Like I was like my own body is beating. Well, I guess it's not really my body. I consider my artificial leg my own body.
It's a part of your body, man.
It is to
It is.
me.
An
It's
extension
an
of your
extension of
body.
you.
Yeah, and my own body extension beat me up and it took me out, and it was, oh yeah, I feel ya. And I thought to myself right away, like, I wonder if you guys have a tender nerve spot like that where
I
it
do.
is, oh
The
Oh well.
the funny bone on
yeah,
my stump is like it's not like this hand or this arm. It's
yeah,
hidden. It's like it's hidden much more. So when I hit it, it's like it's an entire body situation. An
yeah.
entire body situation. And I'm just like, why does that hurt so much?
It
Why does it hurt? It's so bad. It is so
paralyzed me. Like my whole leg, I was just the best way. I just felt like my stump became a wooden stump because there was nothing. It was just so tight, that pain. Oh, ooh. Anyways, I'm glad glad I'm not the only one who does stuff like that, because then
I
it also kind of felt a little dumb. Like I thought, like I just hurt myself off my own leg trying to put it on.
yeah.
no, I feel you.
I don't know. I don't have a nerve that I hit, but I've had my myoelectric arm attack me before because if you don't turn it off when you go to put it on, like a lot of times when I go to put it on, I have it like lodged in
Mm.
my crotch, right? Like when I'm trying to put it on, it's like against my thigh usually. So there have been several times that if I have it not turned on, or if I don't have it turned off, or I forgot to turn it off, I'll go to be putting my arm on, and it will close.
Oh,
Never, thank God, on my member, but I don't know if I even say that. But on just on the inside where there's like basically just on the inside of your like thigh, right where your thigh meets your like the inside of your crotch, and there's like a tendon there, and I've caught that, and the myo's closed on it, and that is really painful. Like I've pinched myself so bad. Luckily,
not fun.
not my crotch. Luckily, not. Because that would be 10 times worse. But it's been very close. And people are probably saying, would you aim it there? And it's just a natural thing. Like when I go to put my arm on, it's like pointing there, and I need it to be against something, right? So I
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
lodge my arm into it. Anyway, so
It's the
that's
same with
happened
me too,
before.
James. When I put on my arm, I have to have a table because my lap is too low
Oh,
to
okay.
like push it on. So I feel you. Like you have to have something to like help you push it. So I get it. Yours is basically like completely upside down, and then you push into it. So I
wish I had
why.
it here. I could. Wow, no one wants to see that. But anyway, I will show you an example.
No, well, if they do, we need to get a Patreon because we're not giving that away for free.
Yeah, that's the extra stuff you got to pay for. And depending how much you pay, maybe I won't wear pants while I do it. Times are getting tight over here.
Oh man, I feel that's another episode. But anyways, I think that's a wrap for today's episode. Oh, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure that you hit the like button. If you have any questions for us or things you want to talk about in upcoming episodes, toss them down in the comment section below. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel and hit that little bell so you don't miss out on any future upcoming videos. And you can check us out on all social media at Some Parts Not Included. And until next time, peace.
Bye-bye.